Final examination IRA case analysis Setmark versus Charlie's Chevrolet Inc. Background on this case. This case happened in the early '80s. The defendant was the Charlie's Chevrolet Inc. Car dealership. They appealed an order of the court of the Circuit Court of the City of St. Louis, Missouri, for a specific performance in a contract case. Um, uh, Going directly to the IRAC. The legal issue in this case was that the plaintiff, uh, Dr. and Mrs. Setmark, found out that Chevrolet was going to manufacture a small number of limited edition Corvettes, which they named Pace Car. The Setmarks contacted Charles Chevrolet, the defendant, a car dealership, to inquire about this car. The defendant notified the Setmarks that a deposit was needed in order for them to be able to obtain one of these limited edition cars. The deposit was for the amount of $500, which the Setmarks provided once they personally arrived into this dealership, and they were assisted by a sales representative, Mr. Kels, who advised that the price of the car would be around $15,000, including some of the modifications that the Setmarks would requested to be added to this vehicle. Even though the final price was never discussed, a deposit was made on it for the plaintiff party to be able to obtain this vehicle. However, once the car arrived, once it was manufactured and arrived, the defendant informed the plaintiff that they could not purchase the car because the price had previously quoted had increased due to the great demand for this limited edition vehicle, and due to that demand, the price inflated, and that's the reason why they were asked to submit a bid, which they did not agree to do and not end up doing. The legal issue in this case in question is to whether or not a specific performance can be awarded for the sale of the limited edition vehicle. The rule of this case was the specific performance. As defined, specific performance is an equitable remedy in which a court order requires one party to perform a specific act in order to complete performance of the contract. Orders to specific performance come about after two parties have contracted with one another, but one party has failed or refuses to perform as agreed in the contract. The analysis and rationale used in this case by the court provided it mentioned that by providing a deposit, the plaintiff and the defendant had entered into an agreement, and even if the defendant failed to specify the selling price of the limited edition car, that did not make the contract voidable. So, moreover, additionally, due to the car being in a unique and invaluable, the court agreed that a specific performance was applicable for this case. I'm doing some research. I was able to find Section 2-716 of the UCC permits a specific for performance which mentions that the goods when the goods are unique or in other proper circumstances. In this case, it was clear that the car was unique, that additional things were requested or added to the car that made it like one in a million. And if they were to obtain the car somewhere else, it would take longer, it would take time, it would cost them more money, and there will be no guarantee for them to be able to obtain the car. So this case, the plaintiff, when entering into a contract with the defendant, expected none of these things to happen, which actually did. The conclusion for this case was that the court affirmed specific performance was to be awarded, as there was a deposit made for this car and no dispute until the price of the car, and the fact that the plaintiff cannot obtain the car anywhere else given the updates they had requested, upgrades they requested. And that's all. Thank you very much.